the one command regiment was almost fully wiped out.
Mon régiment, la chaudière, la première heure, 2 heures, peut-être 3-4 heures, ensuite partout. On a perdu 113 hommes la première journée.
Yeah, we were surrounded on the hills of Catholic. And there was a lot of fire. We were putting out ammunition and other food too.
And no, it was like CNN called it at the time, the most dangerous place on earth.
Remembrance Day, we're a generation that, we have the most recent conflict that we're veterans. That part of the current generation, right now. I can't imagine what it was like to be in the other generations.
Est-ce que vous célébrez toujours? Est-ce que vous commémorez toujours le jour du souvenir?
Oui. Ah oui. Ça, c'est une journée sérieuse. On pense à tout ce monde-là. C'est pour ça qu'il faut apprécier la liberté parce qu'elle a coûté cher.
These are my father's medals. Every Remembrance Day or special day for the forces, I always carry my dad's medals. I marched with him on Remembrance Day. And he marches with me.
November 11, I think of course, all the losses and everybody that served their country. And it is a special day. It's always a bit of a difficult day because I get a bit emotional thinking about all these people. So
I enjoyed my stint in the army. I enjoyed it. I lost a lot of friends over there. I lost a lot of friends over there.
Je vais toujours sur la parade d'armistice. Et puis, là, ben, je peux pas faire autrement qu'à penser que ce qui s'est produit.
I think it's necessary to remember what you've been through and those who didn't come back. But especially those who didn't make it.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Remembrance Day at the Military Museums. Thank you very much for being here today. My name is Allison Mercer. I am the Senior Curator of the Military Museums, and I will be your Master of Ceremonies. A few quick housekeeping items to start with. Please, I ask that you please put your cell phones on silent. Second, if any health emergencies arise or if you need assistance, we have a first aid team available just past the TAN tank up there. It's our T72. Lastly, please refrain from smoking during the ceremony. Before we welcome our guests of honor, I would like to acknowledge the traditional lands and territories of the Indigenous peoples who have lived here and taken care of this area since time immemorial. We are on Treaty 7 territory, as well as in the historical homeland of the Northwest Métis, which includes the Battle River Territory. We acknowledge and respect the histories, languages, and diverse cultures of the First Nations, Métis, and all First Peoples who have taken care of this land. Please stand for the introduction of our guests of honor. First and foremost, I would like to welcome and recognize our veterans of the Korean War, the Cold War, Canadian peacekeeping operations, Afghanistan, and all who have been involved in conflict on behalf of our nation. I would also like to acknowledge our current serving members. This day belongs just as much to you as it does to our veterans and our fallen. Next, I am pleased to welcome the following. Representing the Government of Canada, the Honourable François-Philippe Champagne, Minister of Finance and National Revenue. Representing the Canadian Army, Colonel Robert Teslar, Commander of 3rd Canadian Division Support Group. Representing the Government of Alberta, Mr. Naheed Nenshi, Leader of the Alberta NDP, Member of the Legislative Assembly for Edmonton Strathcona. Representing the City of Calgary, Mayor Jeremy Farkas. Representing the Royal Canadian Navy, Lieutenant Navy Steve Charret, Executive Officer at HMCS Tecumseh. I'll just give him a minute to catch up here. Representing the Royal Canadian Air Force, Major Retired John Argue and Major Retired Lee Obst. Representing Veterans Affairs Canada, Ms. Lindy McQuillan, Director General of Audit and Evaluation. Lastly, Ms. Angela Tse, Mr. Mike Peabody, and Ms. Barbara O'Neill, family of the late Major David Peabody, former TMM Director. Thank you. Please remain standing for the playing of O Canada as performed by the Sabriti Singers. Thank you. Please be seated. Minister Champagne, Colonel Teslar, Mr. Nenshi, Mayor Farkas, foreign dignitaries, distinguished guests, our veterans and serving members, and all of you here today. We are honored to be hosting everyone at the Military Museum's Remembrance Day ceremony as we recognize the service and sacrifice of Canadians throughout our history. 2025 marks the 80th anniversary of the Second World War. This conflict alone saw over 42,000 Canadians give their lives in the name of peace across the globe. Over 55,000 returned home, bearing physical wounds, lingering illness, and disfigurement. For those bearing unseen wounds of emotion and spirit, we do not have a number. But it is vital that we remember these individuals as well. With numbers like these, it can be difficult to grasp the very human impact of sacrifice and loss. Thankfully, military history tends to leave behind an excellent trail of material culture, as evidenced by our museum. Things like uniforms, letters, and personal items that provide us a window into the human experience of war. I would like to share two such items with you this morning. First image, please. My first example resides here at the Military Museums in the collection of the Air Force Museum of Alberta. It is a small leather traveling trunk, about the same size as our hard-sided carry-on suitcases today. This trunk belonged to Flight Sergeant John Vernon Davy during the Second World War. John was born to Kate and John Davy Sr. in 1918. He had been living with his parents in Victoria, British Columbia, when he joined the Royal Canadian Air Force in July 1940. During his long periods of travel for training and then service overseas, he took the time to embellish his leather suitcase with aircraft drawings, city names, and signatures of friends. John was a pilot, flying Curtiss Kitty Hawks in North Africa as a Canadian with the Royal Air Force. He wrote regular letters home discussing family members, friends, and his mother's health. On the 18th of May, 1942, Flight Sergeant Davy and his aircraft went missing when returning from a patrol behind enemy lines. From the reports of his colleagues who had been patrolling with him, there was no indication the aircraft had been damaged, and the authorities surmised a potential engine failure, leading to a forced landing somewhere out in the desert. RAF authorities were hopeful he had been taken as a prisoner of war, as often happened in cases like this. But as time went by, John remained missing. While John's embellished leather suitcase is notable by itself, I feel the most important component of this collection is the 3-inch stack of paper correspondence between John's parents and the Royal Air Force, trying to find their son. For 3 years, they remained hopeful, suggesting possibilities or areas overlooked. By 1946, these letters shift in tone. They are now trying to find his grave. One of the last letters written to John and Kate in 1952 states that, quote, "It must be regretfully and officially recorded that he does not have an official grave." Here the correspondence ends. John Vernon Davy's name is listed on the El Alamein Memorial under those with no known grave. He was 24 years old. The second example comes from the First World War. Image number 2, please. And it is in the collection of the Canadian War Museum in Ottawa. This teddy bear belonged to 10-year-old Eileen Rogers. Eileen's father was Lieutenant Lawrence Browning Rogers, a medical officer in charge of stretcher bearers with the 5th Canadian Mounted Rifles. Lawrence had been a farmer before the war, and he lived with his wife Jenny and his children Eileen and Howard in East Farnham, Quebec. Before he went overseas with the Canadian Expeditionary Force in November of 1915, his daughter Eileen gave him her teddy bear for luck and to remind him of home while he was away. He always kept the bear in his pocket and would let his children know how it was doing in his letters home. On October 24th, 1916, Lawrence Browning Rogers was awarded the Military Medal for bravery in the field at the Battle of Mount Sorel near Sanctuary Wood in Belgium. 1 year later, it is the 30th of October, 1917, 3 months into the Battle of Passchendaele. It is 3 o'clock in the morning. Lieutenant Rogers is working with his medical team to establish a forward regimental aid post to support an attack scheduled for 5:50. At 5:50 on the mark, a barrage of heavy artillery fire opens, providing cover while soldiers leave their trenches and advance towards the enemy. By 7:25, casualties begin to arrive at the regimental aid post. When he is not coordinating his stretcher bearers, Lieutenant Rogers works with Captain Ireland, the medical officer, to triage and treat the wounded. By 7:40, the German barrage opens with fury, pounding Canadian front lines and support areas. At 7:45, an urgent request arrives for reinforcements. Both C and D companies of the battalion are down to 50 men from their original 200. At 10 o'clock, reinforcements are staged in the support trench and ready to move forward. Down to a handful of stretcher bearers and surrounded by the wounded, Lieutenant Rogers and Captain Ireland are working at full capacity. Eileen's teddy bear is in Lieutenant Rogers' tunic pocket. 15 minutes later, a German shell strikes the regimental aid post. Lieutenant Rogers and Captain Ireland are killed instantly. Only 2 stretcher bearers are left. Lieutenant Browning Rogers was not buried. Like Flight Sergeant Davy, he does not have an official grave. His name instead is listed on the Menengate Memorial in West Flanders, Belgium. Gathering his belongings after the war, his friends found the little bear in his pocket and sent it home to Canada. Lawrence was one of over 66,000 Canadians who died in the First World War. Every single one of these 66,000 individuals had someone who loved them and cared about them. Parents, children, spouses, extended family members, or simply friends. Each of these 66,000 is a life lost early. Each of these 66,000 represents the grief and loss of those left behind. And this is the case with all of Canada's war dead, regardless of conflict. We will always remember. Please rise for the last post and the 2 minutes of silence.
Act of remembrance. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the growing down of the sun and in the morning, we shall remember them.
They were young, as we are young. They served, giving freely of themselves. To them we pledge, aim the winds of time, to carry their torch and never forget. We will remember them.
Thank you both very much. Please be seated. I would now like to invite our chaplain, the Reverend Eric Wong, to provide the invocation.
Let us pray. O gracious and compassionate God, on this day of solemn remembrance, we pause. We pause to honor all those who gave of themselves in service to our beloved nation. We remember the brave, the fallen, and those who continue to serve with courage and conviction. Their sacrifice echoes from generations to generations, reminding us the cost of peace and the value of freedom. We lift up their precious families and loved ones. May each one of them be comforted by the legacy of honor left behind. And may they know the deep gratitude of a nation that will always remember. We pray for those who serve faithfully today, standing watch in places both near and far, day and night. God, please grant them your protection, strength, and assurance that their service matters. We remember all those who suffer from the wounds of war, visible and invisible. We pray that you may bring healing to all the brokenness in their body, mind, and heart. May you restore each and one of them. We ask for wisdom for our leaders on this land, that they may govern with integrity, compassion, and a vision for peace. Oh God, reunite us in purpose and who we are as Canadians. Help us to live lives worthy of the freedoms we enjoy each day. May our remembrance today stir us to action, to build a Canada that is just, compassionate, strong, and free. With hearts full of reverence and hope, we offer this prayer. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Wong. We are emotional beings, and we also remember through music and song, which so powerfully captures emotions which are hard to put into words. As in previous years, we are fortunate to have the Savriti singers with us today to accompany our ceremony. I would now like to invite our guests of honor to lay their wreaths. While they do so, the Savriti singers will perform Flanders Fields. Thank you, Sabriti, for that beautiful performance. I would now like to invite our distinguished guests to lay their wreaths. We will once again hear from Sabriti, who will perform a prayer for life.
There's a
Every year we use the poem In Flanders Fields to symbolize our remembrance. Written by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae amidst the devastation of the First World War, the message of the poem endures. We will not forget, and we will carry on. I would like to invite Mr. Logan de Hoog from the Military Museums Foundation to read In Flanders Fields.
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row. And in the sky, the lark, still bravely singing, flies, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, from failing hands we throw the torch. Be it yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies blow. In Flanders fields.
Thank you very much, Logan. Before we proceed, I would just like to draw your attention over to the western side of our field. We have a C-17 Globemaster about to perform a flyby for us. That's pretty special. I would now like to proceed with the remarks from our guests of honor. First to speak is Colonel Robert Teslar, Commander of 3rd Canadian Division Support Group, representing the Canadian Army.
Good morning, everyone. Minister Champagne, Leader Nenshi, Mayor Farkas. I'd like to acknowledge all of our distinguished guests this morning, as well as everyone else who's come out to join us. Thank you for being here today at the Military Museums. It's meaningful to see leaders from all levels of government joining citizens from across the country in remembrance. This is a time to come together in reflection and gratitude for those who served. This is a place where stories of courage, sacrifice, and service are preserved. It's where we come to remember the battles fought and the people behind them. And today, on Remembrance Day, we honor those who gave everything so that others could live. This year marks the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War. More than 1 million Canadians and Newfoundlanders served. Over 40,000 never came home. They were farmers, teachers, students, and tradespeople who went because they believed in something bigger than themselves. They believed in protecting others, in standing up to tyranny, and in defending freedom. Their sacrifice shaped the world we live in. And while the war ended in 1945, its impact lasted for decades. Those who returned carried the weight of what they'd seen. Those who didn't left behind families and communities forever changed. Remembrance Day is about honoring that legacy, but it's also about looking forward, because the world doesn't stand still, and neither can we. Today, wars in Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and Africa continue to affect millions. Even here in Canada, we feel the ripple effects through our communities and our families. We're asking hard questions that the people, Canadian people, are asking us as well. What kind of military does Canada need in a world that's more unpredictable than ever? How do we prepare for threats that are faster, more complex, and closer to home? As we look ahead, we recognize that the foundation of our past offers lessons for the future. Canada needs to defend its sovereignty and stand shoulder to shoulder with our allies when peace is threatened. And the Canadian Armed Forces will lead the way. A few days ago, on November 8th, we marked Indigenous Veterans Day to honor the thousands of Indigenous people that served Canada in World War I and World War II. We also recognize the thousands of women who served in World War I and World War II as nurses and other support trades. Women enlisted by the tens of thousands in the Royal Canadian Air Force Women's Division, the Canadian Women's Army Corps, and the Women's Royal Canadian Naval Service. Their story matters. Their service matters, and their legacy is part of our shared history that we must continue to carry forward. Here at the Military Museums, the largest tri-service museum in Western Canada and the second largest military museum in the country, we honor those stories. From the Navy to the Army to the Air Force, these halls ensure that the stories of our soldiers, sailors, aviators, and Special Forces operators are remembered so that we may learn from their history and never repeat lessons paid for in blood and tears. So today, as we stand together in remembrance, let us honor those who served, those who continue to serve, and those who gave everything. Let us remember what they did for us, why they did it, lest we forget. We will remember them.
Thank you, Colonel Tessler. We come together today as Calgarians, but hundreds of similar ceremonies are taking place across the country. Many of us come from different parts of Canada to make our homes here. Many of us come from different parts of the world, but we are all united as Canadians. Representing the Government of Canada, I would now like to ask the Honorable François-Philippe Champagne, Minister of Finance and National Revenue, to provide us with a few words.
Colonel, I just want to say on behalf of the Government of Canada, thank you for offering us a wonderful ceremony. I've attended many across the country, but I would say this is one memorable. So thank you for your service and thank you for offering all of us Canadians a great ceremony, sir. Leader Nenshi, it's a pleasure to be with you. Mayor Farkas, pleasure as well. New Mayor of Calgary, congratulations, sir. And to everyone who's here today, I'm thinking especially of the veterans. I'm thinking about the current serving CAF members, the family members and the friends and the young people that I see. But there's one special person I'd like to acknowledge today. While I was with the commander earlier this morning, I met Mr. Miller, Sailor Miller, who served on the Bonaventure, one of our aircraft carrier, Canada had the aircraft carrier at the time, and he served bravely. So, sir, I don't know where you are today, but on behalf of all of us, you made us proud. You were a brave sailor. You were in one of our aircraft carriers, sir. So today I'm thinking especially about you and all of those who serve around the world to protect our freedom, to protect democracy, to protect Canadian values. Today, ladies and gentlemen, is an important day. It's Remembrance Day. We gather on this day to recognize and remember the brave Canadians who have served in uniform to defend our country, our value of peace, democracy, freedom, and human rights. And for the fallen, on the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month, we hold a moment of silence in their honor. C'est une tradition qui a débuté après la Première Guerre mondiale et qui continue d'avoir une signification profonde plus d'un siècle plus tard. Dans les 107 années qui se sont écoulées depuis la fin de ce conflit, notre pays a continué de défendre les valeurs pour lesquelles tant de Canadiens et Canadiennes ont sacrifié leur vie. As the Colonel said before, in 2025, we have marked a number of milestone moments from our military history, including the 80th anniversaries of the liberation of the Netherlands, of Victory in Europe Day, of victory in Asia and the Pacific, and of the end of the Second World War. And I want to thank also all the representatives of foreign governments who are with us today to celebrate our brave men and women. This year is also the 110th anniversary of In Flanders Fields, which was nicely interpreted this morning, which is a great moment because we have to be proud as Canadians. Because in fact, this poem was written by a Canadian military physician, Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. He did that during the First World War. Its words have echoed across generations and borders, inspiring the red poppy as a universal emblem of sacrifice and remembrance. A great Canadian. That spirit of service continues today. Members of the Canadian Armed Forces are serving in 37 active missions around the world, defending our sovereignty, delivering humanitarian aid to the most needed, and standing shoulder to shoulder with our allies to promote peace and stability. Members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, too, and all the police services across the nation and first responders have been contributing in many, many ways. Many have been deployed in peace and security abroad to serve as well Canada and defend our values. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Canadians, it's all about people, about standing with those who serve and ensuring they and their families are cared for, respected, and supported. This is how we honor the legacy of those who came before us, by being there for those who serve today and by ensuring Canada remains strong, secure, and free for generations to come. So let's take a moment today, fellow Canadians, to reach out to a veteran or serving CAF member or a first responder. We all know one. And just take a moment to say thank you. A heartfelt thank you. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your service. A simple thank you to serve our nation. We will remember.
Thank you very much, Minister Champagne. I would now like to ask Mr. Naheed Nenshi, leader of the Alberta NDP, to provide some remarks on behalf of the province of Alberta.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you to every one of you for being here today on this important day. I'd like to start with a note of gratitude. I'm grateful to all of you for being here. I'm grateful to those you've heard from and those you will hear from for those great words. If I may highlight, thank you for that benediction, Reverend. You gave us a lot to think about. Certainly gave me a lot to think about. I'd like to say thank you to this incredible choir, this of Wreath singers. Thank you for being here. But thank you to every one of you for attending today, and a special thank you, of course, to the military museums, the staff, the hardworking staff, and the volunteers who bring us together for this every single year. Because it's important. It's important that we come together in this act of remembrance every year. You know, last night I had the chance to go to the Field of Crosses. I love going to the Field of Crosses on the 10th of November. They call it the Night of Lights. Volunteers light a candle next to every one of those crosses, and they stand vigil over those crosses until the breaking of the dawn. It's really beautiful. And as always, I walked along those rows of crosses and I read the names. And as always, I was struck by those names, thousands and thousands of names, 120 crosses representing 120,000 lives lost in battles over the years. And I looked at those names and I went, wow, they were so young. And as I get old, I think a lot about the bravery of those young people. In a nation, in our nation, that was so young. They went to fight not for their neighbors, but for people they didn't know, for generations of people they would never know, showing ultimate courage, selflessness, strength, and sacrifice. Why did they do it? Certainly there was a sense of duty, but there was a sense of something else, something deeper, something that this young nation was about. They were fighting so that people around the world, people they would never know, would have a breath of the peace and a tiny taste of the freedom that we enjoy here every single day. So on Remembrance Day, I urge us all to move forward, of course, in great gratitude for the sacrifice of those that left and never came back, for their families, for those that came back but were forever changed, for those that continue to serve today. But I would suggest that on Remembrance Day, we don't just remember. We also use this as a day of respect and a day of recommitment. Respect, of course, for those sacrifices, respect for those who serve in the armed forces, but also respect for what they fight for. But also a recommitment today, a recommitment to all of us to those values. We live in a world, as the Colonel mentioned, that feels dark and dangerous, more recent conflicts. It's a reminder of our shared responsibility to fight for those values at home and abroad every single day. Today, I am here in gratitude. And I'm also in gratitude in particular for those who help veterans and their families in our community every day. Whether the Military Family Resource Center here in Calgary or Veterans Food Banks across this nation or Royal Canadian Legions or those that work with veterans, we're deeply grateful for the work that you do every single day, and we want to say thank you on it today. But to those who have served and those who continue to serve, our greatest gratitude is with you. Your courage inspires us, your sacrifice humbles us, and your legacy will never be forgotten. And for those that we have lost, we will remember them, lest we forget.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nenshi. I would now like to ask newly elected Mayor Jeremy Farkas to provide his remarks on behalf of the City of Calgary.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to join all of you. It's incredible to be here at really one of the very first major events that I have the privilege to join you as your newly elected mayor. It's uncanny being here, remembering being here in this very same place 25 years ago when I was a high school student just across the street at Bishop Carroll High School. I'm so thrilled to be here and honored to be here on behalf of your new team of brand new city councilors. Elsewhere committed is the local area councilor, Mike Jamieson. Or rather, Mike Jamieson is in the crowd here with us. Mike Atkinson, the area councilor as well, is elsewhere committed. But on behalf of our colleagues, thank you for this opportunity to serve. We gather here on sacred ground, a place where stories of courage, sacrifice, and service live on. Not in stone alone, but in the hearts of those who remember. At this hour, on this day, Calgarians join Canadians from coast to coast to coast in a simple act. We stop, we stand together, we remember. More than a century ago, when our city was still young, Calgarians answered the call. They left behind farms, classrooms, families, and futures to serve in wars far from home. Many never returned. Those who did came home forever changed, carrying scars, burdens, memories that would shape the city for generations. From the battlefields of Vimy Ridge to the beaches of Normandy, from Korea to Kandahar, Calgarians have always stood on the front lines of freedom. Our regiments, the King's Own Calgary Regiment, the Calgary Highlanders, the 41st Brigade Group, carry forward a proud and living legacy. They remind us that service is not history. It is a calling that endures. Here at the military museums, we're surrounded by their stories, by the uniforms they wore, by the letters they wrote, by the silence they left behind. And across our city, on Memorial Drive at the Field of Crosses, thousands of white crosses stand watch by the Bow River. Each one bears a name, each one a story, each one a Calgarian who gave everything. Their sacrifice built the peace that we now enjoy. Our task, our sacred duty, is to preserve it. To the veterans among us, you have borne burdens that few of us can truly understand. You showed courage not only in battle, but in coming home, rebuilding, mentoring, serving again in quiet ways. You remind us that remembrance is not a single day on the calendar, but a lifelong promise. And to the young people here today, you are the keepers of that promise. The freedom that you inherit was paid for in full. Your task today is to protect it with compassion, with courage, and with care for one another. So as the bugle sounds and the silence falls, let us each make a quiet vow to live lives worthy of their sacrifice, to serve as they served in our city, in our province, our country, and our daily lives. May we never, ever take for granted the peace that they secured. May we never forget the price that was paid, lest we forget.
Thank you very much, Mayor Farkas. Once again, I ask that everyone please rise and join the Savridi singers in the singing of God Save the King. This brings us to the conclusion of our ceremony. I ask that you please remain standing for the departure of our guests of honor. My thanks to you for being here today. I would like to thank everyone involved in today's service, including our many sponsors, supporters, and donors. With special thanks to the 41 Service Battalion for providing our parade and vigil party, to Reverend Eric Wong for the benediction, thank you. To our piper, Steve Moore, instructor with the 78th Fraser Highlanders, thank you, Steve. Our bugler, Michael Royan. Of course, the Savridi singers, who deserve a huge round of applause. I would also like to thank Inland AV for putting together our presentation today. Thanks as well to Guru Nanak Free Kitchen for providing the coffee. I believe there's some left if people are interested. Thanks as well to the Calgary Stampede Community Stage that we're standing on here. Last but certainly not least, I have to thank the staff and the volunteers of the Military Museums and the Military Museums Foundation, without whom we would not have been able to put on this event today. If you wish to lay a wreath, we will continue our wreath laying at the Eternal Flame, located at the museum's main entrance. And for those who wish, the museum is open. I look forward to seeing you all inside. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. It is unbelievably meaningful. Yeah. It is unbelievably meaningful to all of us at the military museums to be hosting all of you. Each year, we are impressed to see more and more of you out here each year. Please enjoy the day. Thank you very much.